Zulema took the stand in the Chad Daybell trial. Let's just say she came in like a storm and left like a storm too. Let's talk about some of the highlights. Scammers, spammers, and everything in between is out there trying to get my info and yours, and that's why I have been loving Aura. So y'all already know, especially with the cases that we follow, watching people who have no concept of like video cameras and personal information and all this kind of stuff out there, we know it's out there, right? And I cannot express this enough, especially like to my parents. And so I was sitting there the other day scrolling on all my stuff, whatever, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna prove a point here. I'm gonna look their stuff up and show them just how much this is out there, right? I've already done mine before as well, and it's shocking when you do your stuff and you see how much your information is out there and how fragile it can be in the wrong hands. And they were surprised when I showed them how much their name came up, where it was at, and all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing. Aura does so much of the work for you and makes it so easy to keep track of your information and also rein it in for your own safety and protection. Aura goes over data brokers that are selling my information, your information, whoever's information, right? They automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Now, not only that, I've also noticed by doing this a significant decrease in spam email, which y'all literally, if you saw my mailbox, you would be like, what? Now, here's the other thing. We see these headlines more and more often, and this is another reason why I was like, Paul, you've got to get something to, protect you. It's almost like these companies, these big corporations don't care anymore what happens to your private information. It's like, we now have to be responsible for this stuff. So AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records, this is former, this is existing, this is anything in between, they were released on the dark web. Yes, thank you. Now, they came back out talking about you need to use strong passwords, you need to watch your account, credit freezes, fraud alerts, all this kind of stuff. You need to be on point. Now, alone, to me, I'm just like, that's like a part-time job right there just for this one thing. But here's the thing, Aura, it does all of this for you. And you can see it on the little price comparison thing. Y'all, it's a no-brainer. It is next to nothing. And here's the other thing. I get stuff happens and whatnot, but you saw the screen with all the stuff from AT&T. Do this with your password, do that. Y'all, we don't have time for all that. We don't have time for all that. And for the amount of money that Aura is charging, it's like, it's a no-brainer, okay? Let them do all the work. Also, seeing how a lot of these things and scammers and all these kind of people and spam stuff, it's tricky. You can't tell, and especially for older people, elderly people. One thing I've found with this right here, it's like peace of mind, is signing up parents or people like that, whoever that might be in your world or whatever, as, you could call it a present, but I mean, let's be honest, it's almost like getting somebody, AAA or something like that. It's just for peace of mind to make sure nobody's exploited or taken advantage of. So let's not make these scammers and spammers' job any easier than they're already trying to make it. Okay. Aura is going to make that possible by also offering us, the Sofa Squad, a little bit of a deal. You can go to aura.com/reportinglive. You're going to be able to start your 2-week free trial there. Now, that's also linked down in the description below. So give it a shot. Go there, check it out. You're going to see all the things that they're offering that they do for an insanely low amount of money per month. It's a win-win situation. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. We're back at the sofa, depending on when you're watching this. We have been on vacation, but we're back. Roscoe's recuperating from vacation, and I'm sitting in front of the sofa, still in vacation in my mind. And we are going to be continuing on the Chad Daybell trial today. Now, today, this is some older testimony, if you will, but so many people wanted me to talk about it, and I just haven't been able to get around to it, and so I've started going through it. Now, here's the thing. We're talking about Zulema. Zulema was involved in the Chad and Lori situation. She's done incredibly eye-opening interviews with the police during all of this. A lot of people feel a certain way about her knowledge, her involvement, right? So there's that. Now, that being said, she got quickly married to Lori Daybell's late brother, who was involved in these crimes against many people. And let's just call a spade a spade. A lot of us are thinking she had something to do with whatever happened to Alex, but that is just here nor there. That is sofa conjecture. That is not fact. That is, all that. So just, know that, right? Okay. Now, That being said, y'all, she was in the stand for like 4 hours, okay? So there's no way we're gonna cover it in one thing. So what I wanted to do is just literally, y'all, it's like just pick a timestamp and start, right? But I figured we'd start from the very beginning. I went through, picked some clips out, and essentially what I want to do is just kind of see if y'all want to see me make commentary on her testimony. So we'll use this as like a little test the grounds type video. If y'all do want to see me continue on with her testimony, let me know and we can continue and we can do it. Because literally, y'all, I mean, she's kind of like the Sarah Boone in this case to me, right? If you're following that case as well, where just the interviews and things like that, I'm like, huh? Wow, have we arrived here? So anyways, that's it. So if you do want to follow Roscoe and I outside of the, well, YouTube, you know what? We're on the Instagram. Go on, click it. It's all up in there, whatever. Now let's go ahead and get to those first clips.
Yes, at first it was just, they were just talking to each other. But then Lori was really being flirtatious towards him, and it appeared that she was really putting on the moves on him.
Okay, now let's just start off hot, right? Now what she's talking about is this first meeting. If you follow the case, you know what we're talking about. If you're not, we'll give you a quick little overview. So Zulema was part of this, basically the part of the group that went up to Chad's reading and whatever, and the first meeting of Chad and Lori. And she's talking about this, and she's talking about the behavior towards one another, you know, and you heard what she had to say here, you know, and that it's like, now this is tame compared to what we're going to get into, right? So again, from her perspective, one thing I want you to keep in mind as she's talking is, first of all, a lot of things is, back then, did you believe this? Back then, did you think that? You have to kind of suspend yourself from the normal reality that a lot of us operate under, okay? To get to some of, and not just her, I'm not trying to single her out, but we are talking specifically about her testimony. But how they got from A to B, you're like, this is like, what? Like, how did y'all go down this rabbit hole with Chad and Lori, right? So just know that. So she's starting off talking about this first meeting. Well, that alone right there, it's like you've gone there. You know these two are married. You know they're of a religious nature. Now, I don't know if they had each skewed, basically like if Zulema knew them well enough to be like, they were already kind of a little bit woohoo or whatever before they got together. But nonetheless, it's like, you know these people as religious people, and you're seeing this behavior take place, right? Essentially what I'm trying to say is, we're talking red flag material, okay? Like cringe, right? Like, it's, yeah, come on, right? So this is going on here. Now let's get more into it.
Did Chad seem receptive to that?
Yes, because he was very giggly and laughing a lot with her.
Were you aware if Lori was married?
Yes, I knew she was married.
And did you know whether or not Chad was married at that time?
I knew he was married.
This is what I'm talking about. This right here is exactly what I'm talking about, okay? So you know this behavior is not good. You know it's a little sketch. Nonetheless, I'm not trying to be on some high horse, right? I mean, I'm not perfect either, obviously, right? You know, so I get that. But again, I kind of hold people who are going to claim the things that this group claims and the higher than thou and all that, whatever you want to call it, I hold them up to a higher standard is what I'm getting at. So you bring these two and they start in on this, like, and not to mention that, pure cringe. Like, take any of like the, well, they're held to a higher standard or they're this or they're that, whatever. It's just inappropriate behavior, right? Like, it's like at a book fair or whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? And the prepper thing, whatever. And they're kind of all over each other. And it's just like, hello. But right there, it also shows you. And if you've been following the case, you know, Lori had a target, a motive, a plan of action and going here. She knew what she wanted and she was going to get it. Now, let's fast forward in the story a little bit to their ride home. Now, Zulema will testify. Lori's talking about, you know, to her and Melanie Gibb, look this up, look at the, you know, search for this, and, you know, in the scriptures and this and that and the other. Basically treat them like Google, right? So she'll find the passages she wants her to read and read them out. Now, what the state is going to be doing is talking to her about the specifics of that. If you have followed this story, you'll know that there is what we have called the loin fire, right? It's this kind of cheap and tawdry text messaging between, or a story that Chad has written to Lori, James and Alina. These are their, I consider their sultry names, whatever, you know, but they're, you'll hear it, but this is like the origins of that, right? So Lori's looking this up. Clearly, Chad has talked to her about it. So let's hear what Zulema says happened in the car ride and these scriptures and whatnot that she was looking up.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
And I had asked you if at some point later you learned the significance of the James the Less.
Thank you. Yes, Lori said Chad had told her her previous lives, and in a previous life, she had been, they had been married, and he was James the Less, who was one of Jesus's disciples, and that she was his wife, and her name in that life was Helena.
Y'all, I'm sorry, drinking's from the damn cup it's on it. Drinking from the, I mean, a big old swig. Cannot roll my eyes hard enough. Literally want to crawl under the damn sofa, okay, with a secondhand embarrassment. Here's the thing also, like, total side note, and if you follow me, you know I say this whenever we get into these conversations about Chad and whatnot. It's like, this is how he picks up women. Okay, this is how he picks up women with lines like that. You know, again, I'll say it 1,000 times, they deserve each other. They deserve each other 100%. But I think I called it Alana. It's Helena or whatever she said, the name for Lori. So this whole, we lived in past lives, baby. You know, 100%. There's like 5 women walking around. They're like, he told me that yesterday. That it's just his thing, and it's so cringy. But that's apparently it worked, I guess.
And in regards to the other scripture reference, the D and C, did you ever learn the significance of that?
Yeah, it was in regards of the gathering of the 144,000. And Chad had told her that they were the angels that were supposed to gather the 144,000.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. So it's this right here of we're the angels, we're supposed to gather them, we're supposed to do this. If anyone legitimately told me this in a first meeting or whatever in this type thing, I would be creeped out. But again, I'm not looking for that. I'm not of that world. I'm not predisposed to it. I'm not searching that out. Lori was searching it out. She knew who Chad was. She knew what he was all about. You know what I'm saying? So to her, it was like, I'm going to meet this author. And then he tells you this. You know, and I guess it was intoxicating to her. I guess she thought that, like, it was a power trip. And she was going to be this, you know, angelic thing or whatever and lead all these people. And that was very attractive to her. Enough to completely abandon her life and her family and do and participate in the things that we've seen so far. Which I find I cannot and probably will not ever be able to wrap my mind around that one dynamic alone.
The 3 of us went outside to the backyard together, and at one time, Lori started playing basketball and asked Chad to play basketball with her. It was very uncomfortable for me, so I felt like a third wheel. So I said that I was going to go inside the house, and Chad said that he was going to go inside the house with me. And Lori said, why are you going inside? Are you scared of me?
Amen, girl. Hell yeah, we are. No, because it's completely cringy. That's why. Y'all, I mean, literally, y'all, the cringe from that. Come on. She's trying to play basketball. Come on, babe. Hey, babes. I mean, I can hear it right now, right? I can see this whole thing playing out. Literally just cannot roll my eyes. Roscoe, make some damn room. We're getting on the sofa. Okay, we can't handle this back here. He's like, I'm just sleeping through it, Dad. So here's the thing. This is, and when you read between the lines of the story, the closeness, us 3, let's go out here. Lori doing this, Chad, oh, go inside. And this is this vibe in the very beginning. There's like this almost competition between people like Melanie Gibbs, Zulema, and these people to be part of this little clique or whatever, but also this uncomfortableness because you're being presented with like Lori's kind of like this person coming into the scenario and doing this stuff like the cutesy, let me play basketball and probably be all over him and, you know, back up against him and just that kind of stuff where it's just inappropriate, right? It's like you're both married, and like if you're gonna have your little affair, whatever, I mean, okay, but why put it out there in front of everybody like that? Okay, now let's listen to her testify about a blessing she received. Now, again, I always like to reiterate this when I'm talking about this and whatnot. I am not of the LDS faith. I'm not familiar with it except what I've learned through this case and other ones as well, right? And these offshoots that we seem to always see in the headlines, especially this prime case scenario right here, right? So I'd like to make clear, I'm not disparaging the LDS community or faith when I talk about these type things. So it's my understanding that a blessing is a normal thing in that faith, right? And always feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, or if you don't want to put yourself out in the comments, some of you email me and I enjoy our discourse that we have in talking and learning. So it's my understanding that a blessing, yes, this is a normal thing. However, okay, with Chad and Lori, there's always a however, not the blasphemy that they're doing, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know the proper damn word for it. BS, I don't know. So let's listen to Zulema talk about a blessing of the Lori and Chad kind, okay? And hear what she's got to say about that.
Yes, I do.
Was there anything different about that blessing than what you were used to?
Yeah, usually when we receive a blessing, it is tailored to the specific need that you may have at that time. For example, if I was ill, the blessing will be for healing or strength to go through the illness. This blessing was different. It was almost as if Chad was looking into the future for me, and he was telling me how special of a person I was, and how many gifts I had, and all the things that I was going to do in the future. So it was very, very different than what I was used to.
He was grooming her, is what it was. Okay, plain and simple. So here's the thing: with the standard, like she's talking about, the standard blessing. This is just like any situation of, hey, I'm going through this. Can I get prayers for this? Depending on what you're religious, or non-religious, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me just sounds like run of the mill, their version of that. But then this right here of like, oh, he started talking about you're special this, you're special that, and I'm looking into the future. I mean, we've heard the things that they talk about, right? Yeah, that would be disarming, okay? But also then look at, this is one of the psychologically interesting aspects of this case that I find is for several people involved in it, Zulema being one of them, Melanie Gibb, the Lori Chan, all this, is this dynamic of, and again, this is just my opinion, of we can't accomplish A, B, or C, or it's too difficult, or we don't know how, so we're just going to go do D, E, F and claim this. So for example, with Chad, well, I can't get to where I want to in the church, so I'm just going to start talking about I'm a prophet and had this vision, and just claim that for myself, and act accordingly. Well, how easy is that, right? So with Zulema, I don't know what her deal is, I don't know her personally, but it could be, you never know somebody's own trauma, somebody's own damage, somebody's own brokenness, and somebody comes along talking about, you're going to be this and that, you're amazing, you're this, you're that, I've seen in the future, you're going to do this, you just follow me and do what I say, and this is, just trust me, you're going to be this thing that I'm seeing. You can only imagine how dangerous that can be in the wrong hands, right? I mean, that would feel really good to somebody who's been damaged, hurt, whatever, to anybody for that matter. Making the decision to continue forth with it is a different story, but it is what it is. Now, the next clip we'll be listening to is she's going to be talking about this group, the gathering or whatever that they had over at Lori's house and whatnot. Pay attention to, she says, about the people, the way they're sitting in the room, and how many men versus women there were in the situation, and Chad's general cringiness.
A couple of people had asked a couple of questions of Chad, and he sat in the middle of the room. I don't know whether it was a coffee table or ottoman in the middle of the living room, and all of us were sitting on the couch, and he started teaching the doctrine of translation.
And when you say all of us were sitting there, how many of you were there? Do you recall? Or approximately?
Probably around 6, 7 people.
Were there any other men there?
No, it's only women.
Here's the thing, right off the bat. I don't know the historical narrative or context of what I'm about to say, so just work with me here. But like, you know how when you see depictions of Jesus, like teaching to his disciples and stuff like that, and they would be like hanging out on a rock, or he'd be sitting there talking to the small congregation that he was gathering in the beginning? Exactly. Chad was in the middle, we were all gathered around, and he was just talking. You know, we really find with Chad that we can like talk or not talk for hours. I'm gonna work that in every damn video I do now. If you know, you know. But it gives that energy, right? And then the last part, I love this. Well, how many of them were, like 6 or 7? Were there any other men there? Mm-mm. He knows what he's doing. Again, I would love to see what his vibe would be like if there's another dude there. Like an alpha type dude. You know what I'm saying? Like how Chad would be like. He'd probably be like, look, I know you want to sit there in that power position with your legs spread and taking up all the space on the sofa from the ladies. But however, I've done the charts on you, bro. You're an evil entity, okay? You might not be that way here. You might actually be my priest at church, but you are evil, and I can tell. You know, he would completely be putting the dude down, right? Doesn't matter who it was, right? It could, like, whatever. I'm not sure if that's what you call it, a priest or a pastor in the LDS faith, but you know what I'm saying. Chad wanted to be, and thinks probably that he's, I don't know, big man on campus, center of attention, whatever. Look at just his book alone, One Foot in the Grave. If you're new here, we read it. We covered it in our little book podcast thing, whatever, a couple of times, because it really doesn't get old. But the way, the self-importance, the delusion of grandeur, that's what I'm looking for, like the delusion of grandeur, right? So something like this, and again, he's spouting this stuff off to mostly women because, I mean, I think he's probably kind of like a womanizer in a certain way. Yeah, I think he got married to Tammy because I'm sure he did love her at one point, right? But I think he also got a little taste of power, like, wow, I write these books at home and press print, and, you know, the ladies really come around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of got that energy and ran with it. He was like, probably like famous in his mind and maybe in his world. I don't know. If anyone's even familiar that has like a foot in the world of this and can like give me some kind of like context of, I mean, was Chad famous in this world? Because to me, I just look at it like it was such a tiny little amount of people that were all writing these books and gassing each other up and going to each other's houses and buying one another's books from themselves. You know what I mean? And Chad was like, well, I have this publishing company. You know, it's like you had a printer at damn home was what you did, and Tammy to do the work. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we'll call it a publishing company. He knew how to press print and get Tammy to press print for him. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the vibe that this whole thing gives. Because the books are just so bad off, okay? It's just like these, what do you call that when, vanity pieces. That's more like, absolutely everything about all of this is like a vanity thing, right? In fact, they just need to, that should be his middle name. Okay, let's get to the next thing.
Lori was supposed to have some kind of a, I don't know, meeting or classes at her house. And I decided not to go there. Instead, I decided to go to the temple. And when I got to the celestial room, Lori and Chad were sitting together in the celestial room.
Did either of them say anything to you at that time?
They both stood up at the same time and they came over to me, towards me as soon as they saw me. And Lori said to me not to tell anyone that I had seen them there. He said, please don't tell anybody that we are here.
Well, I have never clutched my pearls as hard as I have now. Now, you already know, I was sitting here looking at my phone. I am 100% Googling as we go. What is a celestial room and Mormon temples? Okay, here we go. Now, this is just off Quora.com, so do with that what you will. It is the room where people can pray and ponder. It is also the most ornate room in the temple. It is meant to represent the presence of God himself. And then the churchofjesuschrist.org says, this room symbolizes peace and joy of the kingdom of God, where families can live together forever with our Father in heaven and his Son, Jesus Christ. So, there's that. Here's the thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, or add context, or send me an email if you don't want to put yourself out there in the comments. To me, I was like, were they sealing themselves? Were they, you know what I'm saying, like that type thing? That was the vibe that I got, because it's like, okay, they're not supposed to be in there. Was this like a naughty thing in that religion? Like for them to be in there? Was it like, you know, oh my God. You know, obviously they were like, don't tell anybody. Now this, again, so think of the things that Zulema has seen. And for them, they know, like, oh God, she knows, like, all this stuff about us. Like, we have to hide this, especially for Chad, right? Because Lori's just kind of like, it seems like she's just kind of coming into this and like home wrecking and doing all this type of stuff. Chad is already like established in this. He's married. He's in this religion, his children, all this type of stuff. And then you have the home wrecker coming in. However, the kids, most of his kids seem to have taken to her real fondly. Right? So I don't know what to do with that. But this part right here, and again with the Zulema, it's like, girl, look at the context of what you're getting into with these people. They're already doing shady stuff. They're talking about fortune telling. They're talking about hanging out in the celestial room when they're not supposed to. Just the context of this alone, you would think would be like, huh? Again, I always go back to this. Look at Lori's friend down in Hawaii, April Raymond. She's been in this case, you know, not wanting to. Lori went down to her with this drama, talking about the 144,000. She's like, hello, what? Now, I'm not trying to sit here and again disparage people, because we're all on a different journey. We're all learning different things. We all make our own mistakes and that type of thing. I get that, right? But I just like to show the context of the difference of, here's somebody who hears this and is of the faith or whatnot, and is like, huh? Like, absolutely not. Like, this is no, thank you. Please go. You know, I thought I knew you. Versus this crowd that attached themselves to them and going through this, and it's like, no, nothing seemed to bat an eye. And this is the tip of the iceberg.
And can you tell me a little bit about what he shared with you?
He told me that he was able to read people's past lives, and he wanted to give me, I guess it was like a reading of what my past lives were. And so he gave me all the times that I had been upon the earth before. He told me who I was, about when it had been. And then he also gave me a rating of, I think it was something like a 4.2 light or something similar to that.
Well, he didn't do her no favors in that light rating. He was like, you got some work to do, girl. You got some personal healing to do, honey. I mean, I love that, right? It's like, yeah, he's not going to gas you up too much. He doesn't want you to get too big for your britches now. Okay, this part right here where like people, he did this, he did that. Again, I'm not familiar with religion, so please drop context if you like. But this seems very out there for this, right? I mean, this seems like Miss Cleo, who was the lady who did the 900 readings, the psychic readings back in the day, you know, when they had those TV phone numbers and stuff. This seems very that, right? It doesn't seem logical. It doesn't seem legit. Now we're starting to hear the light and the dark, the casting, the Richter scale, the ratings, and all this type of stuff. And again, notice where he wasn't doing her no favors. He was like, girl, you're just like the rest of them, a damn 4.2. Go on down the line. Get your sticker and move on down the line. Now, let's continue on with this, but what they've done is they put up a little drawing to show something that Zulema had done, kind of explaining this. And so what I'm going to actually do for this is I'm going to kind of enlarge that picture or whatever while she's talking so we can follow along with it.
So Chad and Lori were teaching that in one realm of creations, there could be 5 different worlds to which one person could come to. So on this one, for example, it shows that there is one realm and one realm of creations on the left-hand side. And as you can see, it has 5 circles. So each one of those ones would be a world. And To the left, I have a arrow showing the spirit world, and one person could come to any of these worlds. And he had said that I had come to the third world within this creation 5 times.
This is very science fiction, very Ron Hubbard, very extra, very way too much. I mean, literally when she was explaining that, I'm sitting here like this. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I was like, look, it's been a long damn day, girl. Y'all are, every last damn one of y'all is exhausting. Okay, I am sorry. This is exhausting. Can you imagine? And here's the thing. If you're into something, go for it, right? But because this all led to the mayhem and loss of life that we see, that's how I associate stuff like this. And again, if this is some legitimate belief from a legitimate religion, I'm sorry, no shade, anything like that. It's the fact that it's related to this group of people and the way they're doing it. I don't believe this is. I believe there could be a kernel of truth, whatever, and they have taken this and made it this huge thing to self-serve, right? Because as we get into this and he's telling Zulema, you've been to this world 4 times. I've known you each of them. You'll be even more powerful in the next life. Yeah, because the things that they get into with her, talking about she's got the power to cause storms and all this stuff. I mean, y'all, it's X-Men type stuff, okay? Where you're just like, girl, at what time were you going to jump off this train? Okay, because no, right? This is all broken, okay? But just the diagram, and again, I'm just literally like, do y'all ever have a regular conversation? Like, I would be so hungry to just hear one of them talk about Real Housewives, for God's sake. Something superficial, something meaningless, right? I mean, every single thing is like, oh, yeah, that's why when Lori was doing that jailhouse phone call talking about that show, that pool makeover show, I was like, she watches stuff like that. Like, everything is so heavy and cultish with them that I'm just like, oh, you do know. Like, I can't envision them at the grocery store, right? That's bizarre to me to think of them doing stuff like that, even though we did see pictures of Lori and Chad in Hawaii at the grocery store or Costco or wherever it was they were. You know what I mean? Like, it's just bizarre to associate them with anything other than really heavy stuff like this.
To the fourth world had come 4 times, and to the fifth world, which will be the earth, which was also the lowest and the darkest of the worlds within this creation, that I had come to this earth 4 times.
Again, you see how this could, to somebody who's going through something in life, this kind of talk right here would make you feel like really like, wow, I'm important. I've done something. You know, I've been here 5 times. And then also this like, oh, the earth is the lowest and the darkest. This is rich coming from somebody who is assisted, allegedly at this point, right? He hasn't been convicted yet, with putting children in his backyard or pasture, whatever we're calling it today, to avoid saying it's right outside his damn backyard. That's real rich as far as I'm concerned.
And I also see a note there, Brother H.F. Jesus. Could you explain what that was?
Yeah, one time Chad had said that he was the brother of Heavenly Father and Jesus, and that in another creation, he had been the Holy Ghost.
But in this one, he self-publishes a bunch of little books and wherever he lived. God. Here's the thing. There's always something magnificent in all these other lives, but this one, okay, this one is just like, and I'm not trying to, let me rephrase here. There is nothing wrong with being a self-published author. There's nothing wrong with being a gravedigger. There's nothing wrong with being mundane. It's okay, right? It's okay, right? In fact, the more mundane, the better, okay? We get this. But the reason I'm so hardcore on it is because of the context of Chad and how he delivers this, right? It's their own self-importance that's repulsive. It's their own, I used to be the Holy Ghost. Yeah. Taking a little break this life, though, just gonna dig some graves. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that kind of thing that I'm just like, dude, again, this is what reading his book, the Gravedigger book, the One Foot the Grave book, he comes across as a bitter man. Just a bitter, angry man, like the N-word thoughts or whatever. Because maybe he couldn't make it, or he couldn't do this, or he's stuck in a bad marriage. Whatever his reasoning is, I think it's all the above, right? So, again, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, I'm putting anybody down who's self-published or anything. No, absolutely not. I know people who put out wonderful self-published books. It's the fact that that wasn't enough for them. If you take away everything, these people, and I mean Lori, Chad, probably Zulema, probably Melanie, they all have decent lives. It's like, if you're walking around fully functioning, working, this, that, and the other, you've got it so much better than so many people. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that it was like not enough, like they wanted to rule the damn world. They wanted to be these grand figures from the past and whatnot, and they use that to leverage such evil in this lifetime, all while basically saying that they're the chosen ones, absolutely floors me and pisses me off.
Let me back up. When a person passes away, that there was a small time where the body is still a viable body, and it could be occupied by a dark spirit or a demon, and that because the body no longer had the spirit that was originally there, but it was being occupied by a demon, that then that spirit could not move to the spirit world, that it would go into a limbo.
So the original spirit occupying the body would go to limbo?
Correct.
And when you say they were teaching, who is the they?
Chad and Lori.
Okay, Jan. So very quickly, this is why they have this like nonchalantness about all the death, because they're viewing it just like what she said. Even I would argue that like people like Emma and them, that's why there's this like, because they're looking at like, that's not JJ, that's not Tylee, that's not Mom. They were occupied by this. And I think that that's how they've convinced themselves and others in their clique that goes along with it, that no, we did the right thing. Like, here's this. Now, secondly, in addition to that, I would give good damn money, okay? When she's talking stuff like that, to just be sitting there with my popcorn, my little coffee cup popcorn, watching those jury members. Because there's some pearl clutching going on over there. There is some pearl clutching going over there. Some damn rolling of the eyes back to the damn their heads. I mean, this is stuff that you're like, what? Okay. Like, come again? This is insanity. And then when it is viewed through the lens of the tragedy, of the heinousness of the actions that took place, it's angry, because you're literally just sitting here like, what are you talking about? And y'all use this to justify, God knows the horrible things the jury has seen, right? The thing God will never say. I'm talking about evidence, photos, things of this nature. So when you're seeing these horrible things and you're hearing this BS going on over here, and it's like, so wait, we got to hear through this over here? You're kidding me.
Had you ever heard anything taught like that before?
No.
At that time, were you open to the idea?
Somehow it was really different to me. I've never heard anything like that before. I was sort of open to it.
Now, here's the thing. Throughout all of this, Melanie, Gib, Zulema, they all want to kind of act like, I was, whatever. It's okay. you were open to it. You were part of the group. You jumped off at a certain point. Great. Now, I don't know about Zulema. I think she was pretty ingrained in this stuff, right? Would heavily question how much she really was involved. But again, I don't know. That's all alleged. That's not fact, right? Now, here's the thing. So for some of it, like, this would have been me. Now, this is taking out that you've known about murders and stuff like that, right? Like the level of, you don't know this. Somebody like this came to me, I'd be like, oh, yeah, absolutely. When's your little group going to meet? And like I said about the juries, they would have been like, Paul, don't you want to join in over here? Chad's in the middle of the ottoman and we're gathered around. I'm like, I'm good over here. I'm really learning. And I would have had my popcorn and just taking damn notes, right? I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to watch all this BS flying back and forth across that room. Now, obviously, once you learn that, like, the actions of these monsters is happening, then that's when it becomes no longer like, you know, a popcorn watching moment. It becomes a true tragedy, which this obviously did at some point. Almost like willingly going to a super cringe pyramid scheme business just to watch the cringe. You know what I'm saying? That's what these people give before you get to the tragedy. Once they start learning about this, and again, it didn't all happen at once. We saw it through our lens, like from the sofa, from the public's perspective in a certain way that they didn't. So I'll give them that. But again, you see all these red flags, right? Somebody comes to you at church. Imagine, doesn't matter what denomination you are. Imagine somebody at church talking about this. Shy of like the Hogwarts church or some school or church or something like that, like, right? But like you just regular run of the mill, which is basic religion, and damn near could say any religion for that matter. And somebody's coming up and talking about this like left field stuff that's picking and choosing some things that might seem a little familiar with your religion, but not really. You know, but again, that's how these people target people. They find them, they're at a point in life where maybe they're lonely, they're broken, they're damaged, they're hurt, they're sad, they're whatever, they're vulnerable is the key ingredient. And they reel them in, you know. And that's what they did. And a lot of innocent people lost their lives. And I'm not trying to say that the people that were brought in, the victims that lost their lives, you know, I mean, they were literally bystander victims. They weren't even part of this, right? You know, but you sit here and listen to this testimony. And again, Zulema just always, even above Melanie Gibb, has me just like mouth on the ground, sofa speechless, okay? It's shocking. So, that being said, if you want me to continue going through her stuff, I will. I mean, literally, y'all, this is maybe the first 30 minutes. And I was like, Paul, it's like every sentence is worth talking about. So if you do want me to continue on breaking down the Zulema testimony, just let me know, drop it in the comments. Also, again, as I always say, I'm completely open to hearing from people who either have been involved in this particular stuff right here and knows like, oh, hey, you know, this is how this went down or whatever, but also people who are involved with the legitimate LDS religion who give insight into, no, this is how this goes and this is how this doesn't go. Some of you have emailed me and I really appreciate that because I enjoy our conversations. And if you feel comfortable, drop it in the comment section too. And if you don't, then don't put yourself out there. I do appreciate it either way. And you know what? Roscoe does too, because he says thank you for letting him sleep for the last hour or whatever long this video is. But he has been sleeping, but he does ask that you drop some little sofas off in the comment section so he'll have a place to lay his little chihuahua head while we talk about this case and others. And until we do go down there to nap and take a moment to talk about all of the cases, we'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.